Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of spotlight interviews on remarkable attorneys across the country with a focus on elder law and estate planning. Joining me today on this segment from Katy, Texas, is Laura Bromlow. Laura, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me today.
Since I know this is a broad topic, please tell us a little bit about your areas of focus and specifically the types of clients that you serve.
Okay, well, I'm a certified elder law attorney, which is a designation handed out by the National Elder Law Foundation. And it simply means that I've passed a test and I've gotten thumbs up from my peers that I know specialized information about estate planning, Medicaid planning, VA pension planning, and things that, all seniors end up facing. So
I know that elder law sort of is an evolution of estate planning, and it's really only come to light most recently, especially with the pandemic shining a huge spotlight on the need. Why do you think it is that people don't know enough about elder law?
well, when you think about elder law, I mean, seniors face a multitude of issues when it comes to the legal arena, right? So when I talk about elder law, my area of elder law is going to be different than somebody else's. So elder law is a very big umbrella, and underneath that there's very specialized areas within it. So people don't know what it means because it simply can mean so many different things to so many different people. In my case, I practice elder law in the sense that I'm focusing on incapacity planning, really planning for the future with in mind long-term care costs and that kind of thing. And then, probate avoidance and death planning. So that's estate planning, and that's what I do. But some people look at, they focus on litigation. So they're suing nursing homes that have treated elders poorly or something like that. So I think that's the confusion.
So in your area of focus, thinking about things of like incapacity, I know that people just aging is such a sensitive subject. So
Mhm.
what are the number one, concerns or challenges people have when they call you regarding those topics?
A lot of times the call will actually be initiated by an adult child who sees their parent aging. Maybe they've waited a little too long, and mom and dad are now needing some care, and they're in the house. In the hospital, something like that has happened. Um, so I think the question was, how does it come to me most often? Usually the adult child or
So
some,
does the phone call sound sort of like, hey, you know what, my parents are aging and I need somebody to talk to them because they just don't have everything together and I'm afraid to breach the subject with them? Or was that what it sort of sounds like?
yeah, it can come in the form of they've been diagnosed with dementia. They're in the early stages. We need to do something now because eventually they're not going to be able to make their own decisions. And that is difficult sometimes to bring up to mom and dad, but I can usually help with that. It takes somebody that, is patient, has worked with seniors a lot, and I can usually, help with that conversation. The other way that it comes to me is we don't know how we're going to pay for this. Mom and dad, they have a house and they've got, a savings and checking account, but they don't have a lot of assets. So we don't know how everything's going to be spent in the nursing home, and we want to preserve some of the assets.
What are some of the biggest like myths or misconceptions you hear out there that maybe people get bogged down by?
Myths or misconceptions. So when it comes to maybe Medicaid planning, there's a lot. So Medicaid planning, people will say, "Oh, I can't have these assets, so I'm just going to give them away to my kids." Well, that's a big no-no, because when you give something away, then you're setting yourself up to not be eligible for Medicaid for a certain period of time. So that's a big myth. One thing with estate planning in general is that people often think, well, I don't have a lot of assets, so I don't need to do an estate plan. That is incorrect. Estate planning is simply putting a plan in place for if you become incapacitated or die. And so it's really a gift that you can give yourself. I want to make sure certain things happen in that case. So I'm going to put it down in writing. And it's a gift that you can give your family. Okay, I don't want you guys to argue about this. I'm putting it in writing who I want to play what role. So you guys know, and you can just be loving family members throughout the experience if it happens.
I've also heard people say the good old will and testament, like they think that that's enough. That's all I need. I already have that in place. Speak to that because I know that that's simply not enough.
Yeah, so it can be enough. It really depends on the individual situation. But what I do is I walk my clients through, okay, here's what a will-based plan would do for you. You're still going to probate. So I came here from California 2 years ago. I practiced in California. Yeah, a will was not going to do much for someone out there. They're still going to have to go through this long and arduous probate process with a will. Here in Texas, the probate process is much simpler, it's less expensive and quicker. However, there's still downsides to probating a will, which include, it's public information. So all of your information is going to become public. You have to notice creditors. So it's really for the creditor's benefit. And so those are the downsides to probate, even in a probate friendly state like Texas. So then I walk my clients through, if you don't like certain aspects of probating a will, here's a trust-based plan. And here's how that would work if you become incapacitated and when you die. The nice thing about trusts, a trust-based plan, is that it works for immediate access for your trusted people in the event you become incapacitated. So now nobody's having to go to court to get access to your money to use it on your behalf if you become incapacitated.
Laura, elder law and estate planning is such specialized knowledge. What inspired you to choose this field and area of focus? How'd you get started?
Well, I had taken 7 years off from practicing law to spend raising my then young children. When my youngest went into kindergarten, I decided I needed to get back into the workforce. And I had a dear friend who I went to law school with who was in the elder law arena. She said, this is something that you would absolutely be a perfect fit for with your personality. I looked into it and I ended up learning a ton. At the same time, my great aunt was turning 107, and we had just gone through this whole experience with her of entering assisted living because my dad found her in need of long-term care, and then eventually going into nursing home. Well, what I was about to learn through elder law was that when she entered that nursing home, which we ended up using all of her private funds to pay for the first couple of years, and then she applied for Medicaid, what we could have done is take some of the funds and put them in a specialized trust. She could have been in the same nursing home, have Medicaid paying that bill, and we could have been using this bucket of money that was in that specialized trust to improve her quality of life while she was in that home. So we could have been paying for an additional caregiver to go in and keep her company, or buying her, a gallon of vanilla ice cream to last her throughout the week, or paying for a massage therapist. So that became a very inspirational information that I was learning at that time to help other people like my great aunt Julie to avoid that spend down of all their assets.
Wow, people can learn a lot of lessons from that story for sure. And speaking of that, folks that are listening now that are in Texas or areas which you can serve, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Okay, great. Yeah, so I am actively licensed in California and in Texas. I live in Texas, but I still serve clients all the time in California. Um, and they can reach me on my website, www.bromlowlaw.com. So that's BROMLOWLAW.com. Calling me 281-665-3827. They can all reach out to me by email, laura@bromlowlaw.com.
Laura, this has been terrific, very insightful. Uh, I thank you so much for taking the time and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks so much, Mark. I appreciate you having me on.
Laura Bromlow from Katy, Texas, serving Texas and California. This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, educate their consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.